Welcome, dear friend, to the Moonlight Temple, a quiet haven where your heart can rest. Imagine sitting with me under a soft moonlit sky, a warm cup of tea in your hands, as we share stories to soothe your soul. If it feels right, share where you're listening from in the comments below. Are you curled up in a cozy bedroom in London, or perhaps lying under the stars in California? Wherever you are, you belong here. You've found your way here because something inside you is tired. Tired of the endless thoughts that circle like birds that won't land. Tired of replaying conversations from today or rehearsing worries about tomorrow. Tired of carrying the weight of a mind that never seems to rest, even when your body desperately wants to. Tonight, we're here to let peace cradle you like a gentle tide. No effort is needed here, no knowledge required. This is your sanctuary now. Find a soft place to rest, grab a cozy blanket, and let yourself sink deeper. For the next 3 hours, nothing else needs your attention. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." These words remind us that overthinking is just a cloud passing through your mind. But for centuries, Zen masters have known a secret our modern world has forgotten. Peace isn't something you achieve after you fix your life or solve all your problems. Peace is what remains when you stop chasing it. It's what's always been here, beneath the chatter, waiting patiently like moonlight behind the clouds. The stories I'll share tonight are medicine for the modern soul. Each one is a cup of tea shared between us, each teaching a moment to pause and breathe. They are here to show your heart how to release what it's been carrying and to remind you of something beautiful. You are already whole. You are already enough. You don't need to become anyone else to deserve rest. Let's try something simple now. Take a slow breath in, feel the air fill your chest, then let it go. Notice how your body softens, how your thoughts slow, even just a little. This is where healing begins, not in forcing, but in a gentle surrender to what's already here. Are you ready to let the noise fade? To let your soul be soothed? If it feels right, whisper to yourself, "I am here," and know that here is enough. You are not the clouds passing through your sky, dear friend. You are the sky itself, vast, still, untouched. For the next 3 hours, we'll weave Zen stories and Buddhist teachings, not as lessons to learn, but as gentle ripples guiding you to stillness. This journey is for you, whether you drift into sleep or stay awake to reflect. The Moonlight Temple is open, its moonlight yours to rest in. Let's begin together, with a story to quiet the mind and warm the heart. Let's settle into our first story, dear friend, one that feels like a quiet walk together through a misty valley. Long ago, a traveler named Kale wandered a winding path through a forest, his satchel heavy with maps and plans. His mind was heavier still, filled with questions about where he was going, whether he'd chosen the right road, and what lay ahead. His thoughts spun like leaves caught in a restless wind, never landing, never still. Does that sound familiar? A mind that wanders, unable to rest where you are. Kale's feet carried him forward, but his heart felt lost. He passed trees blooming with spring flowers, streams that sang softly, but he saw none of it. His eyes were fixed on the horizon, his mind on a destination he couldn't name. So lost was he in his mental maze that he almost walked directly into an old monk, sitting quietly beside the path. The monk was so still, she seemed part of the landscape itself, like a boulder that had learned to breathe. Kale stumbled, apologizing. "Forgive me," he said. "My mind was elsewhere." The monk smiled gently. "Your mind was elsewhere," she said softly, "but where were your feet?" The question stopped Kale completely. "My feet? They were here, I suppose. On the path." "Ah," nodded the monk. "So part of you never left at all. Tell me, while your thoughts were visiting yesterday's arguments and next week's worries, did your feet stumble? Did they lose their way?" "No," Kale replied slowly, a new understanding dawning. The monk gestured to a flat stone beside her. "Sit with me. Your thoughts are like a stream. They will flow. The suffering comes not from their movement, but from your belief that you must go with them." She picked up a single pebble from the ground. "Hold this," she said, "and tell me what you feel." Kale felt its cool weight, its smooth edges. For a moment, his thoughts paused, anchored to the pebble's quiet presence. "Now," the monk whispered, "let your mind rest here, not on the path ahead or behind." But soon his thoughts drifted again, to tomorrow's journey, to past mistakes. The monk saw his struggle and said, "Don't fight your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that can observe them. You are the sky, vast and still. They are just clouds passing through." This story reminds us of a truth the Buddha shared. Whatever a monk keeps pursuing with his thinking and pondering, that becomes the inclination of his awareness. These words, like a friend's quiet guidance, remind us that overthinking pulls us from this moment, like Kale chasing a horizon he couldn't reach. But when we pause, when we notice what's here, a pebble, a breath, a heartbeat, we stop feeding the noise. The mind doesn't need to be forced quiet. It needs permission to rest. Let's practice this art of gentle, noticing together now. Take a slow breath in, feeling the air cool in your nose, warm in your chest. Let it out gently, like a sigh that carries away a worry. Now, notice a thought, maybe about today, tomorrow, or something unfinished. Don't push it away. Don't hold it close. Just watch it, like a cloud drifting across your sky. If it helps, you can simply say to yourself, thinking, as gently as you would call a beloved pet who has wandered from your side. Then, return to your breath. Your mind may wander a dozen times, and this is perfectly natural. Each gentle return is not a failure, but a victory. You're strengthening your capacity to rest in the present moment. You're learning to let the thoughts pass, knowing you can always return home to this breath, this moment, this quiet space. Kale stayed with the monk that night, holding the pebble until his mind softened. For the first time, he heard the stream's song, saw the stars through the oak's branches. He didn't need to know the whole path. He just needed to be here, fully, with the pebble's quiet weight. What's your pebble right now? Maybe it's the feel of your blanket, the rhythm of your breath, or the stillness of this moment. Can you rest with it, just for now? The monk's wisdom echoes through time. The mind loves to wander, but you are not required to follow it everywhere it goes. This practice isn't about silencing your mind forever. It's about giving it space to breathe. Thoughts will come, plans, worries, memories. But you don't have to chase them. Like kale, you can learn to pause, to hold this moment like a smooth stone in your hand. And in that pause, something shifts. The chatter slows. The heart softens. The soul finds room to rest. Let's take one more breath together. Inhale deeply, feeling your chest rise. Exhale slowly, letting your body sink into this quiet. Notice how your mind feels, even just a little lighter. This is the beginning of stopping, not by force but by choice. You're not your thoughts, dear friend. You're the sky they pass through, vast and free. As we move forward, carry this pebble of presence with you. Let it anchor you when your mind wants to wander. For now, let's rest in this stillness, ready for another story to guide us deeper. Come closer, dear friend, as we settle into another story, like sharing a warm cup of tea by a fireside. In a village cradled by rolling hills, there lived a woman named Lila who carried a woven basket wherever she went. This wasn't a basket for apples or bread. It held her worries. Each day, she added to it a sharp word from a neighbor, a fear about the next harvest, a memory of a choice she regretted years ago. The basket grew heavier, pulling her shoulders down, slowing her steps until she moved as if through mud. Have you ever carried a load like Lila's, dear friend? A weight of thoughts, guilt, fear, or what-ifs that seems impossible to set down. Lila's village was a place of simple beauty. Wildflowers danced in the breeze, their petals catching the sunlight. A river wound through the hills, its water singing softly over smooth stones. But Lila's eyes were fixed on her basket, her mind lost in its tangled contents. She didn't see the flowers or hear the river. Her world was the weight she carried, the worries that whispered she wasn't enough. One afternoon, weary and worn, she paused by the riverbank and noticed an old gardener tending a small patch of earth. His hands moved slowly, dusting soil from a wilted flower. He looked up and saw Lila's strained face, her basket clutched tightly. "Why carry such a heavy load?" he asked, his voice gentle as the breeze. Lila sighed, her shoulders sagging further. "These are my worries," she said. "If I let them go, how will I know what to do about them?" The gardener smiled, his eyes crinkling like the edges of a well-worn book. He pointed to the flower in his hand, its petals drooping in the heat. "See this bloom," he said. "It fades today, and another will grow tomorrow. Nothing lasts forever. Not flowers, not worries, not even this moment. Lila frowned, her fingers tightening on the basket's handle. But these worries are mine, she said. They're important. The gardener knelt, scooping a handful of warm soil from the ground. Hold this, he said, placing it in her palm. Lila felt the soil's soft weight, its grains slipping slightly as she held it. For a moment, her mind stilled, caught by the warmth against her skin. Your worries are like this soil, the gardener said. They feel solid, but they crumble when you stop gripping them so tightly. He nodded toward the river. Choose one worry, just one, and imagine placing it in the water. Lila hesitated, her heart racing. She thought of a small worry, a moment she'd spoken harshly to her sister, and pictured setting it on the river's surface. In her mind, the water carried it away, the worry shrinking until it vanished around a bend. Her chest felt a little lighter, her breath a little deeper. This story holds a truth the Buddha shared in the Dhammapada. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. These words, like a friend's quiet whisper, remind us that our thoughts shape our burdens. Lila's basket wasn't just woven straw, it was her mind holding on to pain, fear, and regret. But the Buddha's wisdom offers a path to freedom. When we cling to worries, we carry their weight. When we let them go, we make room for peace. This is impermanence. Nothing stays, not pain, not joy, not the heaviest thought. Everything passes, like water flowing or clouds drifting. Let's try this together now, dear friend. Bring to mind a worry you're carrying. It might be small, a moment you said too much or too little, or something heavier, like a fear that keeps you awake. Don't judge it, just notice it. Picture it as a stone in your basket, heavy but not you. Now, imagine standing by a river, its water clear and gentle. Place that worry on the surface. Let it float away. Watch it drift, growing smaller until it's gone. How does your body feel now? A little lighter, perhaps. If it's still there, that's okay. Just notice it and breathe. Lila returned to the gardener the next day, her basket still heavy, but her heart curious. How do I let go of more? She asked, her voice softer now. The gardener pointed to the sky, where clouds moved lazily across the blue. Do you see how the clouds don't cling to the sky? He said. They come, they go, and the sky remains. Lila looked up, her breath catching as she watched a cloud dissolve into the horizon. Your worries are clouds, Lila, the gardener said. Let them pass, and you'll find the sky of your heart is still there. Lila tried again, choosing a deeper worry, her fear that she'd never be enough for her family. She pictured it as a dark cloud, heavy with rain. In her mind, she let it drift, watching it thin until it was just a wisp. Her shoulders lifted, her breath flowed easier. She realized she didn't need to solve the worry, she just needed to let it move on. Can you feel that possibility, dear friend? that you don't need to fix every thought to find peace. Forgiveness is another way to lighten your basket. It's not about saying the past didn't hurt, but about giving yourself permission to stop carrying it. Years ago, Lila had spoken harshly to an old friend during a misunderstanding. Though they'd never spoken again, she carried the weight of those words, the regret of a friendship lost. The gardener saw her pain and said, "Forgiveness is like opening your hand. What you've been gripping falls away, and your hand is free to hold something new." Let's try a forgiveness exercise now. Think of a moment you've been carrying, maybe a time you disappointed yourself, or a time someone's words stung. Start small if it feels easier. Picture that moment as a cloud in your sky. Hold it gently, without judgment. Whisper to it, "I let you go." You're not erasing the past, you're freeing yourself from its weight. Imagine the cloud drifting away, dissolving into the vast blue. Feel your heart soften, your chest open. Notice the quiet that remains, like a valley after rain. The teaching of impermanence is a gift. It tells us no worry is forever, no pain eternal. Lila's basket wasn't her, it was just what she carried. And you, dear friend, are not your worries either. You are the sky, the river, the space where peace lives. The Buddha's words remind us that what we hold shapes us, but we can choose what to hold. Choose forgiveness, choose lightness, choose this moment. What would it feel like to set down one more stone from your basket? Lila began visiting the river each evening, setting down one worry at a time. Some days new worries crept in, a neighbor's judgment, a fear of the future. That's human, isn't it? The mind loves to collect. But Lila learned to pause, to breathe, to let the river carry what she didn't need. One night, she stood by the water and saw the stars reflected on its surface. For the first time in years, she felt them, not just saw them, but felt their quiet light in her heart. Her basket was lighter, not empty, but enough to let her walk freely. Can you imagine that freedom for yourself? That lightness of letting go, one breath at a time? The river taught Lila what the Buddha knew, that suffering comes from clinging and freedom comes from release. Her worries about her sister, her fears about not being enough, her regrets about old friendships, all of them were clouds, not the sky itself. When she learned to let them pass, she discovered something beautiful. The sky of her heart was vast and clear, untouched by any storm. Let's try one more exercise to deepen this practice. Bring to mind another moment you've carried, maybe a regret, a fear, or a time you felt you weren't enough. Picture it as a stone, heavy but separate from you. Feel its weight in your mind, but don't cling to it. Now, set it by the river in your heart. Say softly, "I release you." Watch the water take it, carrying it away until it's gone. Breathe in, feeling your chest expand. Breathe out, letting your body sink into calm. Notice the space that opens, the quiet that grows. This practice of letting go is a gentle act of love for yourself. It's not about being perfect or solving every problem. It's about giving your heart room to rest, your soul space to breathe. The Buddha's wisdom tells us we become what we think, so choose thoughts that lighten you, that let you flow like the river. We're all learning to set down our baskets, one stone at a time. Each release is a gift to yourself, a step toward the freedom that was always yours. Lila's story doesn't end with an empty basket. It ends with a lighter one and a heart that knows how to let go. She still carries some stones, as we all do, but she no longer lets them define her journey. When new worries arise, she pauses by her inner river, sets them down, and remembers she is not what she carries. She is the one who chooses what to keep and what to release. You have that same choice, dear friend. Right here, right now, in this moment of perfect stillness. Take a deep breath now, feeling the air flow into your chest like water filling a quiet pool. As you exhale, imagine releasing one more burden you've been carrying. Feel your shoulders soften, your heart open, your spirit lighten. You are not your worries, your fears, or your regrets. You are the vast sky through which they pass, the gentle river that carries them away. Rest now, as if you're lying beneath a vast, quiet sky, stars blinking softly above. Let your body settle, your shoulders sinking, your hands softening, your breath easing into a gentle rhythm. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just be here, in this stillness, like a leaf resting on calm water. Your mind may stir, whispering a thought, a worry, a memory, a plan. Let it come, let it go, like a breeze passing through an open window. You don't need to follow it. Stillness is your home, waiting beneath the noise. Feel your breath, slow and soft, like a tide kissing the shore. Inhale, sensing the air fill you with quiet. Exhale, letting thoughts drift away, weightless and free. This moment is enough, just this breath, just this calm. You are like a still lake, reflecting the moon's gentle light. Thoughts may ripple across your surface, but they don't change your depths. Let them pass without holding on. Your stillness remains steady and whole. Notice your body, how it rests, the weight of your legs, the softness of your chest rising and falling. There's no need to strive, no need to fix anything. Stillness holds you like a warm blanket on a cool night. Can you feel its embrace? If a thought arises, a task undone, a fear, a hope, smile at it gently. It's just a cloud crossing your sky, not your sky itself. Let it drift without chasing or pushing. You are the quiet beneath, vast and untouched. Breathe again slowly, feeling the air move through you. Each breath is a return to stillness, a letting go of what pulls you. You don't need to be more than you are. This moment, this breath is your peace. Imagine a single star above, its light steady in the dark. Your heart is like that star, calm, present, shining without effort. Let thoughts fade, like distant echoes, and rest in that light. Stillness is yours, always here, always waiting. Feel your body soften further, sinking deeper into rest. Your breath flows easily, like a stream finding its way. Each exhale carries away tension. Each inhale brings calm. You're held in this quiet, safe and whole. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Gently guide it back to your breath, to the stillness within. Inhale, feeling your body here, now. Exhale, letting all else slip away. This is your sanctuary, this moment, this calm. Rest deeper now, as if floating on a gentle wave. Your thoughts may come, but they don't own you. You are the stillness, the quiet, the peace beneath. Let yourself drift towards sleep or a deeper calm. The night cradles you with infinite tenderness. Each breath connects you to something larger, the rhythm of earth, the pulse of stars. Nothing is required of you now, except presence. Just this breathing, just this being. Perhaps you notice sounds around you, the hum of silence, the whisper of air. These become part of your peace, woven into the fabric of stillness. Everything belongs here, including you. Especially you. Your eyelids grow heavy, like curtains drawing closed on the day. Behind them, darkness blooms, not empty, but full of potential rest. Let yourself sink into that darkness, trusting its embrace. Sleep may come, or deeper wakefulness. The boundary between sleeping and waking becomes soft, unimportant. What matters is this quality of rest, this permission to simply be. Your nervous system remembers how to unwind, like a flower closing at dusk. Natural, effortless, perfect. Time moves differently here, stretched like honey, golden and slow. Minutes feel like hours, hours like moments. You exist outside the urgent tick of clocks, in a space where only peace matters. This is your true home. If tears come, let them flow. They carry away what you've been holding. If joy bubbles up, welcome it. It's your natural state surfacing. Whatever arises is perfect, part of this gentle releasing. Trust the process. The Moon Mind Temple surrounds you now, its walls made of starlight and silence. Here, you are completely safe to rest, to release, to simply exist without purpose or plan. The temple asks nothing of you except your presence. And your presence is enough. Feel how your breath has slowed, how your heartbeat has steadied. Your body knows this rhythm. It's the same tempo as waves on distant shores, as wind through ancient forests. You are part of something timeless and vast. Rest in that belonging. This moment is yours. No effort, no rush, just stillness. Let your breath carry you, like a leaf on a quiet stream. The moonlight temple holds you, its light wrapping you in peace. Stay here as long as you need. Come, let's sit together, as if by a quiet hearth, sharing a story that feels like a warm sip of tea on a still evening. In a village nestled beneath the gentle curve of a mountain, there lived a painter named Soren, who dreamed of crafting a masterpiece. His small studio brimmed with tools, brushes of every size, inks in deep hues, canvases stacked against the walls. Yet Soren's mind was never still. Before he touched a brush, he'd plan every stroke, imagining sweeping landscapes, intricate patterns, or faces so vivid they'd speak. Hours slipped by, but his canvases remained empty, his thoughts knotted with the need for perfection. Does this echo something in you? A mind so busy planning, worrying, or chasing what's next that it forgets to rest in what's now. Soren's village pulsed with quiet beauty. Children ran through dusty lanes, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. Sparrows darted between rooftops, their songs sharp and fleeting in the morning air. A stream wound through the village, its water catching the light like scattered coins. But Soren rarely noticed these things. His eyes were fixed on the idea of a perfect painting, his heart heavy with the fear of falling short. Each night he'd lie awake, his mind tracing what the next day's work should be, what it must be to be enough. One morning, exhausted by his own thoughts, he wandered to a temple at the village's edge, its stone path worn smooth by years of quiet steps. There he saw an old monk sweeping the path, her broom moving with a rhythm so steady it seemed to hum. Soren watched, curious. Each sweep was deliberate, as if the monk poured her whole self into it. "Why sweep so carefully?" he asked. "The wind will scatter more leaves by dusk." The monk paused, her eyes bright with a knowing calm. "Each sweep is its own moment," she said. "I don't sweep for tomorrow's leaves. I sweep for this path, this now." Soren shook his head, his mind still racing with plans. "But I want my painting to be perfect," he said. "I think of every detail, yet I can't even start." The monk set her broom against a wall and beckoned him to a shaded corner of the temple. She handed him a single brush and a small bowl of ink. "Make one stroke," she said. "Just one, as if it's all you'll ever paint." Soren's hand trembled, his thoughts swirling. What if the stroke was too bold, too faint, too wrong? The monk saw his hesitation and smiled, her voice soft as a breeze. "Don't paint the mountain or the sky," she said. "Paint this moment with a beginner's mind, fresh, open, free of plans." Soren took a breath, feeling the air steady his racing heart. He dipped the brush in ink and drew a single line across the paper, bold and curving, like a river finding its way. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive, complete in its simplicity. For the first time, his chest felt light, as if the brush had swept away his need to control. He looked at the monk, his eyes wide. "That felt enough," he said. "This story carries a truth The Buddha shared in the Dhammapada, "With our thoughts we make the world." These words, like a gentle nudge from someone who cares, remind us that overthinking weaves a world of complexity, of striving for a perfection that keeps us stuck. A beginner's mind, open, curious, unburdened, sees each moment as new, like Soren's single stroke. It's not about silencing thoughts, but meeting them with simplicity, letting them be enough as they are. Can you feel that possibility? That you don't need to plan every step to find peace? Let's try a simple practice now, one that brings us back to this moment. Find something near you, the texture of your blanket, the weight of your hands in your lap, the soft sound of your breath. Choose one thing, as Soren chose one stroke. Rest your attention there, as if it's the only thing in the world. If you choose your breath, feel the air move in, cool and light, filling your chest like a quiet tide. Feel it leave, slow and warm, carrying away tension. If a thought tugs, a task, a worry, a plan, don't fight it. Smile at it, like you'd smile at a child pulling at your hand. Then come back to your one thing. What does it feel like to rest here without needing it to be perfect? Soren returned to the temple the next day, his brush tucked in his sleeve. "I tried another stroke," he told the monk, "but my mind started planning again. A whole painting, a masterpiece." The monk nodded, her eyes tracing a sparrow perched on a low branch. "Does the sparrow plan its song?" she asked. "It sings because it's here, because this moment calls for it." Soren watched the sparrow, its tiny chest rising with each note, free of any need to be more. He realized he didn't need a grand canvas, he needed to trust one stroke, one moment. That day, he painted a single line, curling like the edge of a hill. It was simple, but it was his, and it felt like a beginning. A beginner's mind is like that sparrow's song. It doesn't judge, it doesn't strive, it simply is. Our minds love to complicate things, don't they? They spin stories of what should be, what might go wrong, what needs to be perfect. But simplicity is a kind of stopping the chase for more, for better, for flawless. The Buddha's words remind us that our thoughts shape our world, but we can choose thoughts that free us, thoughts that bring us back to now. What would it feel like to meet this moment with a beginner's mind, fresh and open, like a blank page waiting for one stroke? Let's deepen this practice. Choose your one thing again, perhaps the feel of your fingers touching, the rhythm of your breath, or the quiet hum of the room. Rest with it fully, as if it's the only thing that matters. Notice its details, the softness, the rise and fall, the stillness. If a thought pulls you away, a plan for tomorrow, a memory of today, don't push it. Just see it, let it pass, and return to your one thing. Feel the ease of this moment, the lightness of not needing more. You don't need to solve anything right now. This is enough, just as it is. The monk taught Soren about beginner's mind through the seasons. In spring, she showed him how to see cherry blossoms as if for the first time, each petal a small miracle. In summer, they watched children play in the stream, their joy untainted by worry about tomorrow's rain. In autumn, they swept leaves together, each stroke of the broom a meditation in itself. Complexity, the monk said one winter morning, is the mind's way of avoiding the present. Simplicity is the heart's way of embracing it. Soren began visiting the temple daily, each time painting one stroke. Some days, his mind raced, wanting to plan a grand work, to make something others would praise. But he'd remember the monk's words, one stroke, one moment. He'd watch the sparrows, listen to the stream, feel the brush in his hand. Over weeks, his canvases filled, not with planned masterpieces, but with lines that flowed naturally, each one born from presence. One evening, he stood back and saw a painting, a mountain, a stream, a sky, all made of single strokes. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive, and it filled his heart with quiet joy. Can you imagine that joy? That freedom of trusting one moment at a time? The teaching of beginner's mind transforms how we see everything. When Soren stopped trying to paint the perfect landscape, he began to see the one right in front of him. The way morning light caught the temple stones. How the monk's broom carved patterns in the dust. The simple beauty of ink spreading across paper. His life became richer not because he added complexity, but because he removed it. This practice of simplicity is a gentle gift. It's not about emptying your mind or achieving some grand state. It's about meeting each moment as new, like a painter with a fresh brush, unburdened by what came before or what's next. Your thoughts may tug. They're used to planning, worrying, perfecting. But you can choose to return to this moment, to one breath, one sensation. The Buddha's wisdom tells us we shape our world with our thoughts. So choose simplicity, choose presence, choose now. What's your one stroke today? Maybe it's the feel of your breath, the weight of your body, the quiet of this space. Let's try one more practice to anchor this feeling. Choose your one thing again, your breath, your hands, a sound nearby. Rest with it as if it's the only thing in the world. Notice its details, without adding a story. The rise of your chest, the texture of your blanket, the stillness around you. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back, like a kite settling to the ground. Feel the freedom of this simplicity, the ease of not needing more. You are enough, just as you are. This is your beginner's mind, open and free. Soren's life changed, not because he painted a masterpiece, but because he learned to live one stroke at a time. He began to notice the village, the children's laughter, the sparrows' songs, the stream's quiet music. His heart grew lighter, his mind less crowded. He didn't need to plan every moment. He needed to live them, fully, simply. Can you feel that shift? That lightness of letting each moment be enough? The monk's final lesson came on a snowy day, when the temple path was covered in white. See how the snow doesn't try to be anything but snow, she said. Each flake falls exactly where it belongs, perfect in its imperfection. Soren watched the snow dance in the air, each crystal unique yet part of something larger. He understood then that simplicity wasn't about doing less, it was about being more present with whatever he was doing. Years later, People would come to see Soren's paintings, drawn by their simple power. But Soren knew the secret wasn't in the finished works. It was in each single stroke, painted with a beginner's mind, fresh and alive. He would tell visitors, "Don't look for perfection in the painting. Look for presence in the brushstroke." This is the simple path, not a destination, but a way of walking. Not about achieving perfection, but about embracing each imperfect moment with fresh eyes. The Buddha's teaching reminds us that with our thoughts, we make our world. So make it simple, make it present, make it one breath at a time. Your one stroke is waiting. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Rest in this simplicity, in this beginner's mind that sees each moment as new. Let your breath be your brush, this moment your canvas. Paint one stroke of presence, one breath of peace. And know that this is enough. You are enough. This moment is enough. Feel how your body has softened, how your mind has quieted through this simple practice. There's no need to carry complexity forward. Just this breath, just this presence, just this gentle return to now. The simple path is always here, waiting for your next step. Come, let's sit together as if by a tranquil lake, its waters calm under a sky brushed with twilight. In a time long past, in a city alive with the hum of life, there lived a young seeker named Arin whose heart carried a quiet ache. The city pulsed around him, markets brimming with spices, their scents weaving through the air, streets filled with the chatter of traders, and lanterns casting golden glows in the dusk. Yet Arin felt weighed down, his mind a whirl of worries, fears for his family's future, echoes of old arguments, a gnawing sense he'd never find his place. His thoughts spun like a cartwheel stuck in mud, endlessly turning, never free. Does that stir something in you? A heart heavy with questions, searching for peace amidst the noise. Arin's city was a tapestry of simple wonders. Children darted through alleys, their laughter rising like kites on a breeze. Old women sat under tamarind trees, weaving baskets with hands worn smooth by time. A river ran through the city, its surface shimmering with reflections of passing clouds. But Arin's eyes were clouded. He saw only his struggles, his mind tangled in why life felt so heavy, why joy slipped through his fingers like sand. He'd walk the streets, passing vendors calling out their wares, yet hear only the chatter of his own thoughts, regrets over words unspoken, fears of choices yet to come. One evening, exhausted from carrying this unseen weight, he wandered beyond the city to a grove where a banyan tree spread its ancient arms. There, a teacher sat, surrounded by listeners, her voice steady as a stream over stones. Arin paused, drawn by a stillness he hadn't known he craved. He approached, his voice soft but urgent. "Why do I suffer?" he asked, the words spilling from a heart too full. The teacher looked at him, her eyes kind yet piercing, like moonlight cutting through fog. "Suffering is a truth we all share," she said. "But there is a path to freedom, a way to lay down your burden." Arin sat, his breath catching, as the teacher began to share the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha's map through the heart's pain. The first truth, she said, is that suffering exists. It's the ache you feel, the worry that keeps you awake, the longing for life to be different. Arin nodded, recognizing his own pain, the fear of failing his family, the sting of old mistakes, the restlessness of wanting more. The teacher pointed to a leaf drifting from the banyan tree. "See that leaf," she said. "It falls, as suffering does. It's part of life, but it's not your whole story." Arin's shoulders softened, his breath easing as he listened. "The second truth," the teacher continued, "is that suffering has a cause, craving, the clinging to what we want or the pushing away of what we fear." She gestured to a bird caught in a low branch, its wings fluttering wildly. "Look how it struggles, wanting to be free but fighting harder," she said. "Your mind does this, Arin. It clings to hopes, to regrets, to a life you think should be." Arin saw it clearly, his craving for certainty, his clinging to past hurts, his resistance to life's flow. Each thought tightened the knot in his chest, each desire added to his burden. "But there is hope," the teacher said, her voice like a lantern in the dark. "The third truth is that suffering can end, not by changing the world, but by letting go of craving, by resting in what is." Arin's eyes widened, a spark of possibility igniting. Could freedom be so close? The teacher's words flowed on, steady and clear. "The fourth truth," she said, "is the path to freedom, a way of living with mindfulness, kindness, and wisdom." She picked up a small stone from the grove's soft earth and placed it in Arin's hand. "Feel this," she said. Arin held the stone, its cool weight grounding him, its smooth surface steadying his racing thoughts. "This is mindfulness," the teacher said. "Rest in this moment, not in what was or what might be." Arin felt his heart settle, as if the stone anchored him to the earth. The weight of his worries didn't vanish, but it felt less heavy, less like his entire self. "Can it be that simple?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The teacher smiled, her face soft as the grove's shadows. "The path is simple, Arin, but it asks for practice. One breath, one step, one moment at a time." The Buddha's wisdom lights this path, shared in the Samyutta Nikaya. When one sees the origin of suffering, one sees the cessation of suffering. These words, like guidance from someone who truly understands, remind us that suffering isn't a fault, it's a truth we can face with courage. By seeing it, understanding its cause, and walking the path of mindfulness, we find freedom. Arin's suffering grew from clinging to plans for a perfect future, to regrets over past words, to a self he thought he should be. But the Four Noble Truths offered a way to stop, to release, to rest in the present. Can you feel that invitation? That your suffering, though real, doesn't have to hold you forever. Let's explore each truth more deeply, starting with the first, the reality of suffering. This isn't about being pessimistic or dwelling in pain. It's about honest recognition. Like Arin, we all carry burdens, the stress of daily life, the ache of loss, the weight of uncertainty. Sometimes suffering is dramatic, grief, illness, betrayal. Sometimes it's subtle, a background hum of dissatisfaction, the feeling that something's missing. The first truth invites us to stop pretending we're always okay and acknowledge what's real. What would it feel like to name your suffering without shame? To say, yes, this is hard, without needing to fix it immediately. Let's try a visualization to walk this path together. Picture yourself by a still lake, its water reflecting a crescent moon. In your hands you hold a small stone, a piece of suffering you carry, perhaps a worry about tomorrow, a regret from yesterday, or a longing for something more. Feel its weight, its texture, without judging it. This is the first truth. Suffering exists, and it's okay to see it clearly. Now ask yourself, what am I clinging to? Maybe it's a need for control, a fear of failure, or a wish for life to be different. This is the second truth. Craving fuels your pain. Gently place the stone by the lake's edge, letting it rest there. You don't need to carry it. This is the third truth. Suffering can end. Now, walk along a path by the lake, feeling each step, each breath. This is the fourth truth. Mindfulness is your path, grounding you in now. Feel your heart lighten, your mind ease. The second truth reveals the mechanism of suffering, tanha, often translated as thirst or craving. It's not just wanting things, it's the desperate clinging to outcomes, the belief that happiness lies in getting what we want or avoiding what we don't. Arin's mind was constantly reaching for his family's approval, for certainty about the future, for a version of himself that felt worthy. Each reach created tension, like a rubber band, stretched too tight. We crave pleasure and push away pain, but life offers both in endless cycles. The craving itself, not the circumstances, becomes the source of our distress. Have you noticed this in your own life? How wanting things to be different creates more suffering than the situation itself. The teacher showed Arin how craving worked through simple examples. When you argue with a friend, she said, what hurts more, their words, or your craving for them to understand you? Arin thought of recent conflicts, realizing his deepest pain came from desperately needing others to see his point of view. When you fear the future, the teacher continued, what causes more anxiety, uncertainty itself, or your craving for guarantees? Again, Arin saw the truth. His suffering multiplied when he fought against life's natural uncertainty. The teacher smiled gently. Craving turns natural human experiences into battlegrounds. But you can choose to stop fighting. Let's deepen this visualization. Return to your lake, the moon's light dancing on its surface. Hold another stone, another piece of suffering, maybe a fear that wakes you at night, a guilt you've carried, or a hope you're afraid to release. Feel it, see it, without pushing it away. This is the first truth. Suffering is real, and naming it is brave. Now, notice what fuels this suffering. A craving for certainty, a clinging to what was, a resistance to what is. This is the second truth. Craving binds you. Set the stone down by the water, letting it rest without holding on. This is the third truth. Freedom is possible when you let go. Walk the path by the lake again, feeling the ground beneath your feet, the air in your lungs. This is the fourth truth. Mindfulness carries you forward, step by step. Feel the calm that grows, the space in your chest. What does it feel like to rest here, even for a moment? The third truth, that suffering can end, often meets resistance. Our minds protest, but what about injustice? What about real problems that need solving? The Buddha wasn't suggesting we ignore genuine issues or become passive. He was pointing to the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. Illness, loss, change are part of life. Suffering is optional. It's the mental story we add, the resistance we create, the craving that amplifies pain. When Arin's teacher spoke of ending suffering, she meant ending the unnecessary anguish he created through clinging. The first step was believing this freedom was possible. Not tomorrow, not after everything was fixed, but right now. The fourth truth outlines the path, traditionally known as the Noble Eightfold Path. But think of it not as a rigid program, but as 8 interconnected aspects of wise living. Right view means seeing clearly, recognizing that your thoughts aren't facts, that impermanence governs all things. Right intention involves aligning your heart with wisdom rather than craving. Right speech, action, and livelihood create harmony in your relationships and work. Right effort balances striving with acceptance. Right mindfulness brings awareness to each moment. Right concentration develops the ability to rest in presence. These aren't rules to follow perfectly, but principles to return to again and again. Arin began practicing these teachings in small ways. When anxiety arose about his family's future, he'd hold the stone and practice right view, seeing his worry as a passing storm, not permanent reality. When old resentments surfaced, he'd practice right intention, choosing compassion over righteousness. When conversations grew heated, he'd practice right speech, pausing before reactive words. Gradually, the knot in his chest began to loosen. Not because his life became perfect, but because he stopped demanding that it should be. Let's try another visualization to carry this deeper. Picture your lake again, its water a mirror for the stars. Hold a third stone, a piece of suffering, perhaps a doubt, a fear, or a longing you've held tightly. Feel its shape, its weight, without judgment. This is the first truth. Suffering is part of life, and seeing it is strength. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to? A need for approval, a regret, a wish for things to be different? This is the second truth. Craving keeps suffering alive. Gently place the stone by the lake, letting it rest without clinging. This is the third truth. Freedom comes when you release. Now, walk the path by the lake, feeling each step, each breath, each moment. This is the fourth truth. Mindfulness is your way, simple and present. Feel your heart soften, your mind still. You are not your suffering. You are the path, the lake, the quiet sky. The beauty of the Four Noble Truths lies in their practicality. They don't require belief in anything supernatural, just honest observation of how the mind creates suffering. Every time you notice craving arising, the desperate need for approval, the resistance to discomfort, the clinging to pleasant experiences, you can pause and remember, this is the second truth in action. Every time you let go, even slightly, you taste the third truth. Every moment of mindfulness is the fourth truth lived. Arin's transformation wasn't dramatic or sudden. It unfolded gradually, like dawn breaking slowly over the city. He still felt sadness, fear, and uncertainty, but these emotions no longer dominated his inner landscape. They arose and passed like weather systems, natural and temporary. The teacher gave Arin a final teaching about the truths. "Don't try to master them," she said. "Let them master you. When suffering arises, let it teach you about clinging. When you let go, let it show you freedom's taste. When you walk mindfully, let each step be a prayer of presence." She picked up 4 stones from the ground and placed them in a circle. The truths are like these stones, distinct but connected, each one supporting the others. Arin understood then that the path wasn't linear but cyclical, each truth deepening the others. Years later, when people asked Arin about his peace, he would tell them about the teacher under the banyan tree. "She didn't give me answers," he would say. "She showed me the questions I was already asking and taught me how to listen to the responses." The 4 noble truths became his compass, not his destination. They guided him through life's inevitable storms, while reminding him that beneath every tempest, stillness waited. The 4 noble truths are a map, not to a far-off place, but to the ground you stand on. The first truth invites you to see suffering, not as a burden, but as a truth shared by all. It's the worry that wakes you, the regret that lingers, the longing for life to feel easier. Seeing it is courage, not weakness. The second truth reveals its cause, the craving that tightens your heart, the clinging to what you want, or the pushing away of what you fear. It's the mind's habit of grasping, like hands holding too tightly to a rope. The third truth offers hope. Suffering can end, not by force, but by letting go, by softening your grip. And the fourth truth lights the path, mindfulness, kindness, wisdom, lived one breath at a time. Arin walked this path, not perfectly, but with heart. He'd return to the city, noticing its beauty, the children's laughter, the scent of jasmine, the lantern's glow. His worries still came, as they do for us all. But he learned to see them, to understand their cause, to let them go, to walk with presence. Let's anchor this understanding with one final visualization. Return to your lake, its surface now perfectly still, reflecting the vast night sky. Hold a final stone, representing all the suffering you've carried, all the ways you've struggled against life's flow. Feel its weight, its reality, without resistance. This is the first truth: suffering exists, and acknowledging it is the first step to freedom. See how your mind wants to grasp, to control, to make things different. This is the second truth. Craving is the root of your struggle. Now, with infinite gentleness, place this stone beside all the others at the lake's edge. Watch how the water remains undisturbed, vast and accepting. This is the third truth. Peace is possible when you stop fighting what is. Stand now on the path beside the lake, feeling your feet on solid ground, your breath moving naturally, your heart open to this moment. This is the fourth truth. The way forward is always available, always here, always now. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are walking the ancient path that countless beings have walked before you, the path that leads not away from life, but deeper into its true nature. The Buddha's words guide us like steady stars in the night sky. Suffering is real, but it's not the end. Its cause is clear, and its end is possible. The path is here, in this breath, this moment. You don't need to be more than you are to find freedom. You don't need to fix everything to find peace. Just see, let go, and walk, one step, one truth, one moment at a time. Let's rest in this understanding, carrying these truths not as burdens but as gifts, ready for a gentle pause before our next story. Sink deeper now, as if the earth itself is holding you, cradling your weary spirit in its timeless embrace. Your journey through these ancient teachings has softened something within you, loosened the tight grip of constant thinking. Let that softness spread through your entire being now. You have traveled far tonight, not in distance but in depth. Feel how your breath has changed since we began, slower now, more trusting. Each inhale draws in the wisdom you've touched. Each exhale releases what no longer serves. Your nervous system remembers this rhythm, this ancient pulse of peace. Trust it completely. The stories you've heard are becoming part of you now. Kale's pebble resting in your palm, Lila's basket growing lighter, Soren's single brushstroke painting presents itself. These aren't just tales but medicine, working quietly in the depths of your consciousness. Let their healing continue even as your awareness drifts. Your mind may still whisper thoughts, but notice how different they feel now. Less urgent, less demanding. Like distant voices from another room, they drift by without requiring your attention. You have learned the secret. You are not those voices. Picture yourself floating on a vast, warm ocean under an infinite canopy of stars. Each star represents a moment of peace you've discovered tonight. They shine not because you earned them, but because you remembered they were always there. This is your true sky, vast and unchanging. The Four Noble Truths are settling into your bones now, not as concepts but as felt experience. You have touched the possibility of freedom, tasted the sweetness of letting go. Even if your mind forgets these words, your heart will remember this feeling. Peace is your natural state. Let your body become like water, fluid, adaptable, finding its own level of rest. Release any remaining tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. There's nowhere you need to be, but here. Nothing you need to become, but present. This moment holds everything you need. If worries about tomorrow try to surface, meet them with the gentleness of Lila by her river. Set each concern on the water's surface and watch it float away. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Tonight is for rest, for release, for remembering who you are beneath all the stories. The Moonlight Temple surrounds you now with its luminous silence. Its walls are made of starlight and ancient wisdom, its foundation built on the bedrock of your own awakening heart. Here, you are completely safe to surrender, to stop trying, to simply be. The temple asks nothing and gives everything. Your breathing has become like the tide now, natural, rhythmic, connected to something larger than yourself. Each wave of breath carries you deeper into tranquility. You are part of an ocean of consciousness that has no beginning and no end. Rest in that belonging. Notice how the need to understand everything has faded. You don't need to figure out your life tonight, solve your problems, or plan your next steps. Wisdom flows when the mind stops grasping. Let yourself not know and discover the peace that lives in that unknowing. The weight you've been carrying, the basket of worries, the pressure to be perfect, the endless chase for more, all of it can rest now. Set it all down beside this cosmic lake where ancient teachers still gather to offer their gentle guidance. You are lighter now, freer, more yourself than when you began. If emotions arise, gratitude, sadness, relief, joy, welcome them all as honored guests. They are part of your healing, part of your homecoming to yourself. Let them flow through you like music, beautiful and temporary. You are the silence that holds all sounds. Sleep may come now like a gentle friend, or you may rest in wakeful peace. Both are perfect. Your consciousness knows exactly what you need. Trust its wisdom as you would trust the earth to hold you or the sky to shelter you. You are held by love itself. The teachings you've received tonight are seeds now, planted in the fertile soil of your receptive heart. They will grow in their own time, in their own way, flowering into insights and peace you cannot yet imagine. Your only job is to rest and let the growing happen naturally. Time stretches here like golden honey, thick and sweet and endless. Past and future dissolve into this eternal now where healing happens without effort. You exist in the timeless space between thoughts, in the gap where miracles quietly occur. This is your true home. Feel how your whole being has reorganized itself around this new center of calm. Your cells remember their original instructions to be at peace. Your heart beats with the steady rhythm of trust. Your spirit recognizes itself in this ancient sanctuary of stillness. The night holds you like a mother holds her sleeping child, completely, unconditionally, with infinite tenderness. You are precious beyond measure, exactly as you are in this moment. No improvement needed, no fixing required. You are enough. You have always been enough. Let this knowing settle into every corner of your being as you rest here in the heart of the Moon Mine Temple. All the wise ones who have walked before you send their blessings across time and space. You are part of an unbroken lineage of seekers who found their way home to peace. Welcome home. Imagine sitting by a gentle river, its waters weaving softly through the night, reflecting a sky scattered with stars. In a land of ancient oaks and winding trails, a traveler named Tira walked with a burden heavier than her weathered satchel. Years ago, a friend's betrayal had cut deep, harsh words, broken promises, a trust shattered like fragile clay. Tira carried this grudge like a stone, its weight sinking into her heart, her mind replaying the sting of that moment, the ache of what was lost. Each step she took was shadowed by this memory, her thoughts looping through anger, hurt, and a longing for justice that never came. Does that stir something within you? A wound from the past, a grudge that lingers, whispering thoughts that dim your peace. Tira's path wound through villages vibrant with life. Market stalls brimmed with ripe figs and woven baskets, their colors bright under the sun. Children chased kites through dusty lanes, their laughter rising like sparks. Streams flowed alongside the paths, their surfaces glinting like polished mirrors. Yet Tira's gaze was inward, fixed on the betrayal, on the friend who'd wounded her, on the fairness she felt owed. The grudge was a constant companion, growing heavier with each retelling in her mind, each imagined argument that never resolved. Her heart felt like a clenched fist, unable to open, unable to rest. One evening, exhausted from her journey, she paused at a small shrine tucked among willows, its stone walls softened by moss. An old hermit sat there, tending a fire that flickered with quiet warmth, casting shadows that danced like leaves. His hands moved with care, placing twigs in the flames as if each act held the world's weight. Tira watched, her chest tight with unspoken pain. "How do you find peace?" she asked, "when the past holds you captive?" The hermit looked up, his eyes soft as the fire's glow, steady as the river's flow. "What weighs you down?" he asked, his voice calm, inviting her to speak. Tira hesitated, then poured out her story, the friend's cruel words, the trust broken, the anger that burned like a coal in her heart. The hermit listened, his silence a gentle space for her pain. "Your hurt is real," he said, "but your suffering grows from holding it so tightly." He picked up a twig and held it to the fire, watching it curl into ash. "The past is like this twig," he said. "It burns only as long as you feed it with your thoughts." Tira's brow furrowed, her hands gripping her satchel. "But how do I let go?" she asked. "This pain feels like part of me." The hermit pointed to the river, its current whispering through the willows. "Place your grudge in the water," he said. "Not because the hurt didn't happen, but because you don't need to carry it forever." Tira knelt by the riverbank, her heart pounding. She closed her eyes, picturing her grudge as a heavy stone, etched with her friend's words, sharp with her anger. In her mind, she set it in the water, watching it sink, then drift, carried by the gentle current. Her breath deepened, her shoulders softened, as if the river had lifted a piece of her burden. The hermit watched, his face calm. "Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself," he said. "It frees your heart to live now." This story carries a truth the Buddha shared in the Dhammapada. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. These words, like a soft breeze through an open door, remind us that clinging to a grudge feeds suffering, not healing. Tira's pain was real, but her endless replaying of it, the anger, the need for justice, kept it alive, like a fire stoked by new wood. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It loosens the grip of the past, letting your heart breathe freely. Can you sense that possibility? That releasing a grudge, even a little, might lighten the weight you carry. But forgiveness is perhaps the most misunderstood teaching in all of human experience. It's not about saying, "What happened was okay." It's not about forgetting or pretending the wound doesn't exist. It's certainly not about reconciling with those who hurt you. True forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the prison of resentment, releasing the poison you've been drinking, while hoping it would hurt someone else. Tira discovered this slowly, through many conversations with the hermit and many nights by the river. Each time she thought she'd forgiven, another wave of anger would surface. "This is normal," the hermit assured her. "Forgiveness is not a destination, but a practice, like tending a garden that keeps growing weeds." Let's try a forgiveness exercise to explore this path. Picture yourself by a river, its waters flowing gently under a starlit sky. In your hands you hold a stone, a grudge you've carried, perhaps a moment someone wounded you, or a time you judged yourself harshly. Feel its weight, its rough edges, without pushing it away. See it clearly, the words spoken, the moment that stung, the pain it holds. This is your truth, and it's brave to face it. Now, ask yourself, what am I feeding with this grudge? Anger, betrayal, a need for things to be different? Gently place the stone in the river, watching it slip into the current. See it drift, growing smaller, carried away by the water's flow. This is forgiveness, not erasing the past, but freeing your heart from its hold. Breathe in, feeling your chest lift. Breathe out, letting tension flow with the river. How does your heart feel now? Perhaps a little lighter. Tira returned to the shrine the next evening, her satchel still heavy but her steps less burdened. "The river helped," she said, "but the grudge creeps back when I think of her words." The hermit nodded, placing another twig in the fire. "The mind loves to cling," he said, "like a hand gripping a thorn. The tighter it holds, the deeper it cuts." He pointed to a willow by the river, its branches swaying in the breeze. "See how the willow bends?" he asked. "It doesn't fight the wind, it moves and stays whole." Tira watched the willow, its leaves dancing without resistance. She saw that forgiveness wasn't a single moment but a practice, a choice to bend, to release, again and again. She closed her eyes, picturing her grudge as another stone, setting it in the river once more. Her breath softened, her heart opened, like a flower catching light. The hermit taught Tira about the different layers of forgiveness. First, he said, comes the forgiveness of the event, releasing the need for it to have been different. This was perhaps the hardest part for Tira. She wanted to rewrite history, to make her friend kinder, their parting gentler. But wanting the past to be different, the hermit explained, is like trying to change the course of a river that's already reached the sea. Gradually, Tira began to accept that what happened, happened. Not because it was right, but because fighting reality only created more suffering. Second, the hermit continued, comes forgiveness of the person. This stirred resistance in Tira's heart. Why should she forgive someone who'd never apologized, never acknowledged the pain they'd caused? The hermit smiled gently. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. He explained that hurt people, that her friend's cruelty likely came from their own unhealed wounds. This doesn't excuse their behavior, he said, but it helps you see it as their limitation, not your unworthiness. Understanding this, Tira felt her anger begin to transform into something softer, not approval, but a kind of sad compassion for two people who'd lost each other to pain. Third, the hermit said, comes the hardest forgiveness of all, forgiving yourself. Tira's eyes filled with tears she hadn't known she was holding. For what? She whispered. For trusting someone untrustworthy, the hermit said gently. For not seeing the signs earlier. For the things you said in anger. For carrying this pain so long it poisoned other relationships. For being human in a situation that required perfection. Tira sobbed then, releasing tears that had been frozen in resentment for years. The hermit sat quietly beside her, his presence a wordless permission for her pain. Let's try a deeper forgiveness exercise now. Return to your river, its current steady under the night's quiet glow. Hold another stone, a grudge, perhaps a smaller one, like a moment you spoke too harshly, or a deeper one, like a betrayal that lingers. Feel its shape, its weight, without judgment. See the moment it holds, the words, the feelings, the ache it carries. This is your truth, and it's okay to hold it gently. Now reflect, what keeps this grudge alive? A need for apology, a wish to rewrite the past, a fear of being hurt again? Set the stone in the river, watching it slip into the flow, carried by the water's gentle pull. This is forgiveness, a release, a gift to your heart. Breathe in, feeling your body soften. Breathe out, letting the grudge fade with the current. Notice the space that opens, the calm that settles within. Forgiveness, Tira learned, doesn't happen in a straight line. Some days she felt free, lightened by her practice with the stones and the river. Other days the old anger would surge unexpectedly, triggered by a scent, a phrase, a memory. This is normal, the hermit reminded her. Healing happens in spirals, not lines. Each time you choose forgiveness again, you deepen the groove of peace in your heart. He taught her to see these setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to practice, like a musician, returning to a difficult passage until it flows smoothly. The hermit also helped Tira understand the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still choose not to let them close to you again, he explained. Forgiveness is about your inner freedom. Boundaries are about your outer safety. You can wish someone well from a distance. This was a revelation for Tira, who'd believed that forgiving meant she had to welcome her friend back into her life. Instead, she learned to send loving kindness to her former friend while protecting herself from further harm. True forgiveness, the hermit said, sometimes looks like a door gently but firmly closed. Tira's evenings at the shrine became a quiet ritual, each visit a chance to practice forgiveness. Some days the grudge would flare, a memory of her friend's voice, a pang of old anger. That's human, isn't it? The mind holds tightly, like a hand reluctant to unclench. But Tira learned to pause, to picture the river, to set the stone down again. Each act of release was a step toward freedom, a softening of her heart's edges. One night, she stood by the river, watching stars shimmer on its surface, their light steady and unbroken. For the first time, she felt the world's beauty, the willow's graceful sway, the fire's warm crackle, the river's endless song. Her grudge hadn't vanished, but it no longer defined her. She was learning to forgive, to live in this moment, not the past's shadow. The hermit gave Tira a practice for when forgiveness felt impossible. Begin with the willingness to be willing, he said. You don't have to forgive fully today. Just be willing to consider the possibility that someday you might. This tiny crack in the wall of resentment was enough to let light in. From willingness came curiosity about what life might feel like without the burden. From curiosity came small experiments in letting go. From experiments came the gradual realization that she was stronger without the grudge than with it. Let's try one more forgiveness exercise to anchor this practice. Picture your river again, its waters flowing under a vast, quiet sky. Hold a final stone, a piece of the past, perhaps a moment you hurt someone, or a time you felt abandoned. Feel its texture, its weight, without pushing it away. See it clearly, the moment, the pain, the story you've carried. This is your truth, and it's courageous to face it. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Anger, guilt, a need to be seen. Place the stone in the river, letting it slip into the current. Watch it drift, growing smaller, carried far from you. This is forgiveness, not for the past, but for your peace, your freedom. Breathe in, feeling the air lift your heart. Breathe out, letting the past flow with the water. Feel the lightness that grows, the quiet that remains. Months passed, and Tira's journey continued, but now she walked differently. The villages seemed brighter, their colors more vivid. She began to notice details she'd missed before, the way morning light caught in spiderwebs, how children's games echoed ancient dances, the kindness in strangers' eyes. Her satchel felt lighter too, though she carried the same belongings. What had changed was invisible but profound. She no longer carried the weight of unfinished emotional business. The hermit's final gift to Tira was a teaching about the ripple effects of forgiveness. When you release resentment, he said, you don't just free yourself. You free your children from inheriting your pain. You free your community from the poison of your bitterness. You even free the person who hurt you, because your anger was a cord binding you both to the past. Tira understood then that forgiveness was not just personal healing, but a gift to the whole web of life. Her choice to release resentment sent ripples of peace into the world, in ways she might never know. Years later, when Tira had become a teacher herself, people would ask her about the secret to her radiant peace. She would tell them about the hermit by the river, about the practice of placing stones in flowing water. Forgiveness, she would say, is not about them. It's about you choosing freedom over imprisonment, love over hatred, presence over past. She would always add, with a gentle smile, and it's a practice, not a perfection. Some days, I still find new stones to release. But now I know the way to the river. Forgiveness is a gentle practice, a return to the present moment. It's not about denying the hurt or pretending the past didn't shape you. It's about choosing to release the grudge, to stop stoking the fire that burns within. Tira's story shows us that forgiveness is a choice, made again and again, to set down the stone, to let the river carry it. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that love, for your own heart, your own freedom, is the path beyond hatred. You don't need to carry every wound, every story, every pain. You can choose to let them flow, to let your heart be a river, open and free. What might it feel like to step lighter, to release one piece of the past, to rest in this moment? The Buddha's truth echoes through time like the hermit's gentle wisdom. Hatred never ends hatred, but love ends hatred. This is the eternal law. Not because it's easy or because others deserve it, but because you deserve to live without the burden of resentment weighing down your spirit. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison you didn't realize you'd built around your own heart. And once that heart is free, it remembers how to love, starting with loving yourself enough to let go. Take a moment now to feel the space that forgiveness creates. Notice how your chest feels more open, your breathing more natural. This is what it means to carry less and live more. This is the gift you give yourself when you choose release over resentment, freedom over the familiar weight of old wounds. The river is always flowing, always ready to carry away what you're willing to release. The only question is, what are you ready to let go of today? Imagine resting on a gentle hill, the evening breeze cool, a sky above shimmering with countless stars. In a village nestled among rolling fields and ancient pines, a seeker named Kale wandered with a heart heavy from chasing an elusive self. He'd spent years crafting identities, a scholar poring over scrolls, a poet weaving words, a figure others might admire, yet each role felt like a garment too tight, too heavy. His mind buzzed with questions. Am I enough? Have I achieved what I must? Will I ever become the self I envision? This chase consumed him, his thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a restless wind, never settling. Does that resonate within you? A mind racing to define who you are, always reaching for something just beyond grasp. Kale's village pulsed with quiet life. Farmers moved through fields, their hands steady, sinking into the earth's soft rhythm. Children scampered across meadows, their laughter mingling with the hum of bees drifting from wildflowers. A brook wove through the valley, its water catching sunlight in fleeting silver flashes. Yet Kael's gaze was inward, fixed on the self he thought he should be, wise, celebrated, complete. At night, he'd lie awake, his mind sketching plans to prove his worth, to etch a name that would endure in others' memories. Each thought added weight, like stones piling in his chest, leaving him weary, unable to rest. One morning, seeking relief from this endless striving, he climbed a hill to a temple perched above the village, its wooden beams smoothed by years of wind and rain. There, a monk sat in stillness, her hands weaving a simple straw mat, each motion deliberate, as if cradling the moment itself. Kael approached, his voice thick with exhaustion. "Why do I feel lost?" he asked, "when I work so hard to be someone?" The monk set her weaving aside, her eyes meeting his, with a calm that felt like dawn breaking. "Who are you chasing?" she asked, her words soft but sharp, cutting through his haze. Kael hesitated, then spoke of his efforts to master knowledge, to craft perfect verses, to become a self that felt whole. The monk listened, her silence a quiet pool, reflecting his words without ripples. "You chase a shadow," she said, "a self you think you must be, a name you think you need." She pointed to the brook below, its water flowing effortlessly over stones. "Does the brook call itself a river?" she asked. "It flows, without a name, without striving to be more." Kael's hands tightened, his mind grappling. "But I must be someone," he said. "Without that, what am I?" The monk smiled, picking up a small pebble from the temple's earthen floor. "Hold this," she said, placing it in his palm. "Is this pebble a scholar, a poet, a success, a failure?" Kael turned the pebble, feeling its cool, smooth surface. "It's just a pebble," he said, his voice softening. The monk nodded, her eyes bright with knowing. "You are like this pebble, not bound by names, not fixed as one thing." She gestured to the sky, vast and open above. "The teaching of no, self says, there is no solid I. You are this moment, this breath, this life, flowing like the brook, ever changing, free." This ancient teaching strikes at the heart of human suffering, our desperate need to be somebody, to have a fixed identity we can point to and say, "This is me." But what if that very grasping is what creates our pain? What if the self we're so frantically trying to build and defend is like trying to catch our own shadow? The Buddha taught this radical truth in the Samyutta Nikaya. That which you call self is merely a collection of ever-changing processes. These words, like a gentle earthquake, shake the foundation of everything we think we know about ourselves. We are not a thing but a process, not a noun but a verb, not a statue but a river. Kael sat, the pebble grounding his trembling hands, his breath slowing as her words sank in. The idea of no self stirred something deep, a glimpse of release from the endless chase. "Your suffering comes from clinging to a self that must be," the monk said. "Let go of the chase, and you'll find you're already here, complete in this moment." Kale closed his eyes, feeling the pebble's weight, the air on his skin, the brook's distant murmur. His mind quieted, as if the wind had stilled, leaving only the present, vast and open. The self he'd chased, scholar, poet, hero, felt less solid, less necessary. Could stopping the chase be so simple? The monk began to unravel Kale's understanding piece by piece, like gently untying a knot. "Tell me," she said, "what is this self you seek to become?" Kale described his vision, someone wise, respected, remembered. "And where do you find this person?" she asked. "In your thoughts, in others' opinions, in your achievements?" As Kale searched, he realized he couldn't locate this self anywhere concrete. It was always a story, always a projection, always just out of reach. "The self you seek," the monk said gently, "exists only in time, in memories of who you were and fantasies of who you might become. But you exist only in this moment. Which is more real?" The teaching of anatta, or no self, doesn't mean you disappear or become nothing. It means recognizing that what you've been calling self is actually a constantly changing flow of experiences, thoughts, sensations, and awareness. Like a river that's never the same from moment to moment, you are not the same person you were yesterday, or even an hour ago. Your cells have changed, your thoughts have shifted, your understanding has evolved. So who is this I that seems so solid and permanent? The monk helped Kale explore this through direct experience rather than philosophy. Let's explore this profound teaching together through mindful inquiry. Picture yourself by a brook, its waters shimmering under a wide, starlit sky. In your hand, hold a pebble, an idea of yourself you've chased, perhaps a role like parent or professional, a need to be perfect, a fear of not being enough. Feel its weight, its texture, without judgment. See it clearly, the story you've told yourself, the I you've tried to become. This is your truth, and it's okay to hold it gently. Now ask, what am I chasing with this self? Approval, certainty, a sense of worth. Gently place the pebble in the brook, watching it sink, then drift with the current. This is no self, letting go of the fixed I, resting in the flow of now. Breathe in, feeling the air fill your chest. Breathe out, letting the chase slip away. How does it feel to pause here, undefined, present? Kale returned to the temple the next dawn, the pebble tucked in his sleeve. "The brook helped," he said, "but my mind still wants to name me, scholar, poet, failure." The monk smiled, pointing to a cloud drifting across the sky. "Does the cloud call itself a storm or a mist?" she asked. "It moves, changing, without needing a name." Kyle watched the cloud, its edges soft, dissolving in the breeze. He saw that his need to be someone was like trying to hold the cloud still, to make it one thing. "No, self is freedom," the monk said. "You are not one role, one story. You are the seeing, the feeling, the being in this moment." Kale held the pebble, felt its weight, then set it in the brook again, watching it drift. His heart lightened, as if the chase had paused, leaving space for quiet. The monk taught KL to observe his thoughts without identifying with them. When a thought arises saying, "I am anxious," notice that there's an awareness observing the anxiety, she explained. Are you the anxiety, or are you the awareness that notices it? This simple shift created profound changes in KL's experience. Instead of being consumed by emotions, he learned to witness them. Instead of being driven by desires, he could observe them with curiosity. You are not your thoughts, your feelings, or your roles, the monk continued. You are the spacious awareness in which all these experiences arise and pass away. No self is a gentle release, not a loss of who you are. The mind loves to chase a better self, a perfect role, a story that feels complete. Each chase adds weight, like stones in a basket, pulling you from the present. The Buddha's teaching invites us to stop, to see that the self we seek is a story, not a truth. You are not bound by roles or names. You are the brook, the breath, the moment, flowing without need for definition. What might it feel like to let go of one small piece of that chase, to rest as you are, undefined? The monk introduced KL to a meditation practice that directly pointed to this truth. Sit quietly, she instructed, and ask yourself, who is aware of my breathing? KL tried to find the I that was aware, but every time he looked, he found only the looking itself. Now ask, who is aware of my thoughts? Again, he searched but found only awareness, open, spacious, without center or boundary. This awareness, the monk said, has no name, no story, no fixed characteristics. It simply is, and it is what you truly are. For the first time, KL experienced himself not as a someone, but as a something, the very capacity for experience itself. Let's deepen this practice with another exercise. Return to your brook, its waters shimmering under a quiet sky. Hold another pebble, another idea of self, perhaps a label you've worn proudly, a role you've outgrown, a fear of not being enough. Feel its shape, its weight, without pushing it away. See the story it holds, the eye you've chased, the effort it demands. This is your truth, and it's brave to face it. Reflect, what fuels this chase? A need to be seen, a fear of falling short, a longing for certainty. Set the pebble in the brook, letting it slip into the current. Watch it drift, carried by the water's gentle flow. This is no self, releasing the fixed self, resting in the present. Breathe in, feeling your body, here, now. Breathe out, letting the story fade. Notice the lightness that grows, the space within. The practice of no self gradually transformed how KL moved through the world. Without a fixed identity to protect and promote, he became more fluid, more responsive to life's changing conditions. When criticized, he didn't take it as an attack on his core being, but as information passing through awareness. When praised, he didn't inflate with pride, but remained centered in the moment. When you stop being someone, the monk observed, you become available to everything. Kael discovered this was true. Without the energy spent on self-maintenance, he had more capacity for genuine connection, creativity, and spontaneous joy. The monk also taught Kael about the difference between the relative self and the absolute self. In daily life, you still use names and roles, she explained. You still say, "I need food," or "I'm going to the market." This is the relative self, functional, useful, but not ultimate reality. But underneath this conventional identity lies your true nature, boundless awareness that has never been born and will never die. This absolute self, or rather no self, is what connects you to all existence. When you touch this truth, the monk said, separation becomes an illusion. You realize you are not separate from the brook, the sky, or any other being. Kael's visits to the temple became a quiet ritual, each dawn a chance to practice letting go. Some days, his mind raced, yearning to be the scholar, the poet, the man others admired. That's human, isn't it? The mind clings to names, to roles, like hands grasping at fading mist. But Kael learned to pause, to hold the pebble, to set it in the brook. Each release softened his need to define himself, opened his heart to the moment. One evening, he stood by the brook, watching its water catch the last light of day. He saw the village anew, the farmer's steady hands, the children's joyful shouts, the bees' quiet hum. He wasn't a scholar, a poet, or a failure. He was here, alive, flowing like the water, undefined yet whole. The teaching of no self also liberated Kael from the tyranny of consistency. He no longer felt compelled to act in ways that matched some imagined self-image. If he felt generous one day and needed solitude the next, both were equally valid expressions of the moment. When you stop defending a fixed personality, the monk explained, you become free to respond authentically to life as it is, not as you think it should be, based on who you think you are. This freedom was initially disorienting for Kael, but gradually it became liberating. He could be scholarly when learning called for it, poetic when beauty moved him, and simple when simplicity served the moment. Let's try another exercise to carry this further. Picture your brook again, its ripples dancing under a vast open sky. Hold a third pebble, another piece of the self you've chased, perhaps a role you've felt trapped in, a success you've sought, a fear of not being enough. Feel its texture, its weight, without judgment. See it clearly, the story, the chase, the weight it adds. This is your truth, and it's okay to hold it gently. Ask, what am I seeking with this self? Approval, control, a sense of being complete? Place the pebble in the brook, letting it slip into the current. Watch it drift, growing smaller, carried away. This is no self, letting go of the I, resting in the flow of now. Breathe in, feeling the air lift you. Breathe out, letting the chase dissolve. Feel the freedom of this moment, open and undefined. The deeper Kael went into this practice, the more paradoxical it became. The more he let go of being someone special, the more special each ordinary moment became. The less he tried to prove his worth, the more worthy he felt. The more he embraced his no-thingness, the more everythingness he experienced. "This is the great joke," the monk laughed one morning as they watched the sunrise paint the sky in brilliant colors. "You spend your whole life trying to become someone, only to discover that you were never anyone to begin with, and that this is the most wonderful news possible." The Buddha's wisdom on no self points to ultimate freedom, freedom from the exhausting project of self-improvement, self-protection, and self-promotion. When Kale finally understood that there was no fixed self to improve, protect, or promote, a huge burden lifted from his shoulders. He could finally stop and simply be. Not be someone, just be. "The wave finally realizes it was always the ocean," the monk said, offering her final teaching. "It was never separate, never alone, never in need of becoming anything other than what it already is." Years later, when people ask Kale about his transformation from restless seeker to peaceful presence, he would smile and say, "I stopped trying to be someone and discovered I was everyone and no one all at once." He would tell them about the pebbles and the brook, about the monk who showed him that the very thing he was chasing was the thing keeping him from what he already had. "Freedom," he would say, "isn't becoming the right person. It's realizing there's no person to become." No self is a gift, a release from the endless striving to be one thing. Kale's story shows us that the self we chase, the perfect version, the admired figure, is a shadow, not a truth. The mind builds stories, names, roles, each one a weight that pulls us from the present. The Buddha's wisdom invites us to stop, to see that we are not bound by these stories. You are the seeing, the feeling, the being, like the brook, flowing without need for a name. What does it feel like to pause the chase, to rest in this breath, this moment? Kale's heart grew lighter, not because he became someone, but because he stopped trying to be. He walked through the village, noticing its beauty, the field's golden sway, the children's laughter, the brook's endless song. His mind still stirred at times, wanting to define him, but he'd return to the brook, set the pebble down, and feel the freedom of now. Let's anchor this with one final exercise. Return to your brook, its water shimmering under a star-filled sky. Hold a final pebble, a last piece of the self you've chased, perhaps a label you've carried, a fear of not being enough, a dream of who you should be. Feel its weight, its edges, without pushing it away. See the story it holds, the eye you've sought, the effort it demands. This is your truth, and it's courageous to face it. Reflect, what drives this chase? A need to prove, to be seen, to be certain. Place the pebble in the brook, letting it slip into the flow. Watch it drift, carried far by the water's gentle pull. This is no self, releasing the fixed self, resting in the present. Breathe in, feeling your body soften. Breathe out, letting the story dissolve. Feel the vastness of this moment, free and whole. The teaching of no self is a gentle invitation to stop chasing, to rest in what is. You don't need to be a single solid thing to be enough. Like Kale, you can let go of the roles, the names, the stories, and find freedom in the flow of now. The Buddha's words remind us that the self we seek is not found in striving, It's in the seeing, the being, the living of this moment. You are the brook, the breath, the sky, ever-changing, ever-present, free. The chase can end here, now, with the simple recognition that you were never lost to begin with. You were just looking in the wrong direction. Stop looking and start being. Stop chasing and start flowing. Stop becoming and start resting in the awareness that you already are. Deeper now, deeper than you've ever allowed yourself to go. The journey through forgiveness and the release of false selves has carved out spaces within you that were hidden before. Rest in those spaces now, vast and luminous and utterly still. You have traveled to the very core of being tonight. The need to chase anything has dissolved like morning mist. No more pursuing the perfect version of yourself. No more running from what you fear to face. The chase has ended not because you caught what you were seeking, but because you discovered you were never separate from it. This is the deepest rest possible. Your breathing has become so natural now, so effortless, like the tide that needs no instruction to rise and fall. Each breath carries away another layer of who you thought you had to be. Each exhale releases you further into the ocean of pure being. There's nothing left to hold on to, nothing left to become. Feel how light you are now, unburdened by the stories you once carried. Tira's river has washed away your grudges. Kale's brook has carried off your need for identity. The pebbles of pain and pretense have all found their way to the sea. What remains is essence, pure, unadorned, free. The Moonlight Temple has become your very consciousness now, its walls indistinguishable from the boundaries of your awareness. You are both the temple and the one resting within it. You are the moon, the light, and the peaceful silence that holds them both. This is what it means to come home to yourself. Thoughts may still whisper at the edges of awareness, but they feel like voices from another lifetime. They belong to someone who used to worry, someone who used to strive, someone who used to believe they needed fixing. That someone was never real, just a collection of habits mistaken for identity. Now you know better. The Four Noble Truths have become your lived experience rather than concepts to understand. You have seen suffering, traced it to its source, tasted freedom, and walked the path that leads beyond all seeking. This wisdom lives in your bones now, deeper than memory, older than thought. You carry it like birds carry the knowledge of migration. Your body has become like water taking the shape of whatever vessel holds it, completely relaxed, completely adaptive. Tension is just a memory your muscles are already forgetting. Even your heartbeat has slowed to match the rhythm of planets turning, of seasons changing, of ancient cycles that require no effort to sustain. If you could see yourself from above, you would witness something beautiful, a being so at peace, they have become peace itself. The boundary between you and tranquility has dissolved completely. You are not experiencing calm. You are calm experiencing itself through this temporary form called your life. The night sky has moved closer, or perhaps you have expanded to meet it. Stars shine through your consciousness, as if you were made of the same darkness that holds them. You begin to remember what you knew before birth, that separation was always an illusion, that home was never a place, but a recognition. Time has stopped, meaning what it used to mean. Past and future feel like stories someone once told you about people you never actually met. There is only this eternal now, this breath, this presence that has no beginning and knows no end. This is your true age, timeless, deathless, whole. The sounds around you, whether silence or the distant hum of the world, have become music composed specifically for this moment of your deepest rest. Everything is in perfect harmony because you are no longer resisting anything. The universe can finally breathe through you unobstructed. Your nervous system has remembered its original instructions, not to survive but to thrive, not to protect but to receive, not to control but to flow. Every cell in your body is singing the song of deep peace, the lullaby your DNA has been humming since the first star was born. You are evolution's gift to itself, consciousness aware of its own infinite nature. The teachings you've received tonight have planted themselves so deeply in your being that they will grow without your tending. Like seeds in fertile earth, they will sprout into wisdom you cannot yet imagine. Your only job now is to rest so completely that nothing interferes with this organic flowering of understanding. If emotions arise, waves of gratitude, whispers of joy, tears of recognition, let them flow through you like music through an open window. You are the space that allows all feelings to exist without being limited by any of them. This is the freedom you were always seeking without knowing its name. Sleep and wakefulness have become arbitrary distinctions now. Whether your eyes are open or closed, whether thoughts move or rest, you remain in this state of profound okayness with everything exactly as it is. This is the enlightenment that requires no special knowledge, just the willingness to stop pretending you are less than whole. The ancient ones who first spoke these truths gather around you now in appreciation. Your willingness to receive these teachings continues their lineage, keeps their wisdom alive in the world. You are part of an unbroken chain of beings who discovered that peace was never lost, only temporarily forgotten. Feel yourself sinking even deeper now into the arms of existence itself. Below thought, below feeling, below even the sense of being someone having an experience. You have found the ground of being that supports all experience while being touched by none of it. This is your true foundation, unshakable and eternal. The Moon Mind Temple cradles you now with infinite tenderness, its light not illuminating you but shining as you. There is no separation between the seeker and the sought, the temple and the one it shelters. You have arrived at the destination you never actually left. Welcome to the deepest rest, the truest home, the end of seeking. Picture yourself seated by a tranquil pond, its surface still, reflecting a crescent moon's soft glow. In a valley cradled by misty hills, a young woman named Luna lived with a heart restless for perfection. She yearned for a life without flaws, a home always orderly, relationships free of conflict, a self untouched by doubt. Her mind churned with plans to fix what felt broken, to smooth every imperfection, to make life shine like polished stone. Yet the more she strove, the heavier her heart grew, as if chasing a star that kept slipping beyond the horizon. Each evening, she would sit by her window, staring at the moon, wishing her life could be as flawless as its light seemed to be. But even the moon, she would discover, held secrets about the beauty of imperfection. Luna's valley was a tapestry of simple beauty. Wheat fields swayed under the breeze, golden under the sun's caress. Villagers gathered by the pond, their voices weaving stories as they mended nets or washed linens. Birds darted through the willows, their songs threading through the air like delicate stitches. But Luna's eyes were clouded. She saw only what needed fixing: the crooked fence by her home, the tension in a friend's words, the doubts that crept into her quiet moments. Each imperfection gnawed at her, her mind spinning with ways to make things right, to make herself right. One twilight, weary from her endless striving, she wandered to a small shrine at the valley's edge, where an old woman sat spinning moonbeams into silver thread. At least, that's what it looked like in the ethereal light. "Child," the old woman said without looking up from her spinning wheel, "you carry the weight of trying to perfect the moon." Luna started, surprised she'd been noticed. "I don't understand," she replied, settling onto the grass beside the mysterious figure. The old woman smiled, her fingers never pausing in their work. "Look at the moon tonight," she said. "Tell me what you see." Luna gazed upward at the crescent hanging in the darkening sky. "I see incompleteness," she said slowly. "It's only half there. If I could somehow make it full, it would be perfect." The old woman laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "And tomorrow night, would you try to keep it full forever?" Luna frowned, beginning to see the impossibility. "That's exactly your problem, dear one. You're trying to stop the moon from being the moon." The old woman set down her spinning wheel and pointed to the pond's surface. "The moon's light dances on the water," she observed. "It ripples, it breaks apart, it reforms. The light doesn't struggle to stay perfect. It simply illuminates whatever it touches." Luna watched the reflection, seeing how the slightest breeze scattered the moonlight into 1,000 shimmering fragments, each one beautiful in its own way. "Your life is like this water," the old woman continued. "You keep trying to hold the reflection still, but that's not the moon's nature. Its beauty lies in its willingness to be broken and reformed over and over again." For the first time, Luna began to see that her endless efforts to create perfection were like trying to grasp the moon's reflection with her hands. "But how do I stop trying so hard?" Luna asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Everything in me wants to fix, to improve, to make things better." The old woman reached into a basket beside her and pulled out what appeared to be a small piece of moonlight, though Luna couldn't quite tell if it was a crystal, a pearl, or something else entirely. "Hold this," the woman said, placing the mysterious object in Luna's palm. It felt warm and cool at the same time, solid, yet somehow flowing. "This is a piece of effortless light," the old woman explained. It doesn't try to shine. It simply is luminous. It doesn't work to be beautiful. Beauty is its nature. As Luna held the object, she felt something in her chest relax, as if she'd been holding her breath for years and could finally exhale. This story echoes a profound truth the Buddha shared in the Lotus Sutra. The nature of things is inherently perfect, neither lacking nor excessive. These words, like moonlight filtering through clouds, remind us that our constant efforts to improve and perfect often obscure the natural wholeness that's already present. Luna's suffering came from believing that life needed her constant management, that peace required her endless intervention. But true peace, like moonlight, arises effortlessly when we stop blocking its natural flow. Can you feel that possibility within yourself? That perhaps the very trying is what keeps you from the ease you seek. Let's explore this teaching through a gentle visualization. Picture yourself sitting beside Luna's pond, the moon's crescent reflected perfectly in the still water. In your hands, you hold your own piece of effortless light. It might feel warm like sunlight or cool like starlight, but it asks nothing of you except to be held. Notice how this light doesn't strain to illuminate. It simply glows naturally, without effort or intention. Now bring to mind something in your life you've been trying hard to fix or perfect. Feel how much energy you've been putting into, pushing, controlling, managing. Gently place this concern into the light you're holding, not to fix it, but to let it rest in natural luminosity. Watch how the light doesn't work to heal or change anything. It simply holds whatever you give it with infinite tenderness. How does it feel to let something be held rather than constantly managed? The old woman began to teach Luna about the difference between effort and effortlessness. When you garden, she asked, do you pull the flowers to make them grow faster? Luna shook her head. Of course not. You provide good soil, water, sunlight, and then you trust the flower's natural wisdom to unfold. The old woman gestured toward Luna's life. Your happiness is like that flower. The more you pull at it, trying to force it to bloom according to your timeline, the more you damage its roots. This was a revelation for Luna, who had spent years believing that if she just tried hard enough, worked smart enough, controlled carefully enough, she could manufacture the life she wanted. But what about responsibility? Luna asked. What about making good choices and working toward goals? The old woman smiled, her eyes twinkling like stars. There's a difference between flowing with life's current and swimming against it, she replied. Right action arises naturally when you're aligned with your true nature, like the moon following its orbit. You don't have to force the moon to light the night. It does so by simply being what it is. She handed Luna a small mirror and asked her to catch the moon's reflection in it. When Luna tried to angle it perfectly, to capture the exact right amount of light, the reflection danced away. But when she simply held the mirror naturally, without straining, the moon settled into it like a bird coming home to rest. This became Luna's first lesson in effortless presence. The old woman showed her how forcing and striving actually pushed away the very things she was trying to achieve. Peace isn't something you create, she explained. It's something you allow. Joy isn't something you manufacture. It's something you stop blocking. Night after night, Luna practiced this new way of being, learning to tend her life the way a good gardener tends a garden, with care but without force, with attention but without anxiety. Slowly, she began to notice that when she stopped trying so hard to make things perfect, they naturally found their own balance. The old woman taught Luna a meditation practice called moonlight awareness. Sit quietly, she instructed, and imagine you are made of the same light as the moon, soft, clear, naturally radiant. Luna learned to feel her awareness as this gentle luminosity that required no effort to maintain. When thoughts arise, the old woman continued, don't try to stop them or change them. Simply let them pass through your moonlight awareness, like clouds drifting across the night sky. This practice revealed to Luna that she could be present and aware without the constant mental effort she'd thought was necessary. Her mind could be clear without being forced, peaceful without being controlled. Let's deepen this practice together. Return to the pond in your imagination, where the moon's light creates a pathway across the water's surface. Feel yourself becoming like that moonlight, soft, luminous, requiring no effort to shine. Notice how moonlight doesn't judge what it illuminates. It simply reveals what's already there. Let your awareness become like this, non-judgmental, effortless, naturally bright. If worries or plans arise in your mind, don't push them away or try to solve them. Simply let them drift through your luminous awareness like leaves floating on the pond's surface. Feel how much easier it is to be present when you're not working at it, when you're simply allowing your natural awareness to shine. Over the weeks that followed, Luna's relationship with life began to transform. She still cared about her home, her relationships, her growth, but she no longer carried the crushing weight of thinking everything depended on her control. The moon doesn't worry about lighting the earth, the old woman reminded her. It simply shines, and the light goes where it's needed. Luna learned to live like this, showing up fully, but without the desperate attachment to outcomes that had exhausted her for so long. When conflicts arose with friends, she found herself listening more deeply instead of immediately trying to fix everything. When doubts surfaced about her choices, she learned to hold them gently in her moonlight awareness instead of fighting them. The old woman's final teaching came on a night when the moon was completely hidden by clouds. "Where is the moon now?" she asked Luna. "I can't see it," Luna replied, looking up at the cloudy sky. "But is it gone?" "No," Luna realized. "It's still there, behind the clouds." The old woman nodded. "Your peace is like this moon. Sometimes life's challenges cloud your view of it, but the peace itself is never actually lost. You don't need to create it or force it to appear. You just need to trust that it's always there, waiting for the clouds to pass." This understanding brought Luna a deep sense of relief. She no longer had to manufacture peace or work to maintain it. She simply had to remember it was her natural state. Luna began sharing this wisdom with others in her village, not through teaching or preaching, but simply by embodying this effortless way of being. People noticed something different about her, a quality of ease that seemed to invite them to relax as well. When someone was struggling, Luna found she could offer presence without the old compulsion to fix everything immediately. Her home became naturally more orderly, not because she forced organization, but because she moved through it with mindful awareness. Her relationships deepened not because she worked harder at them, but because she showed up more authentically. Let's practice this effortless presence one more time. Imagine yourself now as pure moonlight, soft and radiant, needing no effort to exist. Feel how this light naturally extends in all directions, without trying, without straining. Notice that you don't have to work to be aware. Awareness is simply your nature, like luminosity is the moon's nature. Rest in this effortless beingness, this natural radiance that requires nothing from you but recognition. If thoughts about tomorrow arise, let them float through your luminous presence like night birds crossing the moon's face. If feelings about the past surface, hold them gently in your moonlight awareness until they naturally dissolve. This is your true nature, not the one who struggles and strives, but the one who simply is, naturally peaceful, effortlessly whole. Years later, when people asked Luna about her transformation from an anxious perfectionist to someone who moved through life with such grace, she would point to the moon. I learned that I was trying to improve the light instead of simply letting it shine, she would say. The moon doesn't work to be beautiful. Beauty is what it is. She would tell them about the old woman at the shrine, about the peace of effortless light, about discovering that peace was not something to achieve, but something to allow. Stop trying to perfect the moon, she would whisper to those still caught in the trap of endless striving. Just let it light your way. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that our nature is inherently perfect, neither lacking nor excessive. Luna discovered this truth not through more effort but through less, not through doing but through being. Like the moon that shines effortlessly across the night sky, your peace doesn't need to be created or maintained, it needs only to be recognized and allowed. The old woman's gift to Luna was showing her that the very thing she was working so hard to achieve was already present, just waiting for her to stop blocking it with her efforts. This is the profound teaching of effortless presence, that you are already the light you seek, already the peace you pursue, already the wholeness you imagine you lack. Rest now in this knowing, as Luna learned to rest in the moon's natural radiance. Feel how your awareness shines without effort, how your presence illuminates whatever it touches, simply by being what it is. You don't need to work to be whole. Wholeness is your nature. You don't need to strive to be peaceful. Peace is what you are when you stop trying to be something else. Let this understanding settle into your bones, like moonlight settling on still water. Tonight, you are the moon, effortlessly luminous, naturally perfect, inherently complete. Picture yourself resting beneath a wide, starlit sky, the air soft, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of jasmine. In a village nestled among rice paddies and ancient banyan trees, a woman named Arya lived with a heart that had forgotten how to notice beauty. Life had grown heavy with routine, the same tasks each day, the same worries each night, the same feeling that something precious was missing though she couldn't name what it was. Her days blended together like watercolors in rain, each one washing into the next without distinction or joy. She moved through her world like a sleepwalker, seeing but not truly observing, living but not fully alive. Have you ever felt this way? present in body but absent in spirit, going through the motions while your soul yearns for something more. Arya's village was alive with quiet wonders that she had stopped seeing. Children painted hopscotch patterns on dusty roads, their chalk drawings bright as butterfly wings. Old men gathered under tamarind trees to play chess, their weathered hands moving pieces with the precision of dancers. Women hung saris to dry on clotheslines, creating canopies of silk that fluttered like prayer flags in the morning breeze. A river wound through the paddies, its surface catching fragments of sky and reflecting them back like scattered diamonds. But Arya walked past it all with eyes glazed by habit, her mind elsewhere, her heart closed to the small miracles that surrounded her daily. She had become a stranger to wonder, a tourist in her own life. One evening, feeling particularly empty after another day that had passed without meaning, Arya wandered to the village's edge where an ancient banyan tree spread its generous arms. There, she discovered an old man sitting in meditation, his face serene as still water. Around him, he had arranged dozens of small objects, a smooth stone, a feather, a piece of colored glass, a fragment of pottery worn smooth by rain. Each item seemed to glow in the twilight, as if lit from within. "What are these?" Arya asked, her curiosity stirred for the first time in months. The old man opened his eyes, and she saw in them a depth of contentment that made her chest ache with longing. "These," he said simply, "are today's gifts." Arya looked more closely at the collection. "But they're just ordinary things," she said. "Nothing special." The old man smiled, picking up the smooth stone and turning it in the fading light. "This morning, this stone was warmed by the first ray of sunlight that reached the river's edge," he said. "A child skipped it across the water 3 times before it settled on the bank. The ripples it created carried the reflection of a heron taking flight." He set the stone down gently and lifted the feather. This fell from a sparrow building her nest in the eaves of the temple. It drifted down just as the morning bells were ringing, riding the sound waves like a tiny dancer. Arya listened, mesmerized, as the old man revealed the hidden stories within each seemingly ordinary object. "I collect one gift each day," the old man explained. "Not things to keep, but moments to remember. Each evening, I arrange them here and give thanks for what the day offered." He gestured to the fragment of colored glass, which caught the last light like a tiny stained glass window. This was part of a bottle that broke against the rocks by the river. The pieces scattered like green stars across the sand. A young girl collected them to make a mosaic, but this one piece she left for the river to polish. It spent all day tumbling in the current, becoming smooth and perfect. Arya felt something stirring in her chest, a recognition, a remembering of how she used to see the world before life taught her to look past its small wonders. The old man's practice awakened something in Arya that had been sleeping for years. "Would you teach me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He nodded, placing a small cloth bag in her hands. "Tomorrow, walk through your day with eyes like a child seeing snow for the first time," he said. "When something catches your attention, a shadow, a sound, a moment that makes you pause, that is a gift. Place it in this bag, not the object itself, but the memory of the moment. Arya looked confused. How do I put a moment in a bag? The old man laughed, a sound like water over stones. The bag is just a reminder to notice, to receive what each day offers. The real collection happens in your heart. This practice carried the wisdom of the Buddha's teaching from the Anguttara Nikaya. If you knew what I know about the power of giving and gratitude, you would not let a single meal pass without expressing your thankfulness. These words, like seeds carried on wind, remind us that gratitude transforms ordinary moments into sacred encounters. Arya's emptiness came not from lacking beautiful experiences, but from rushing past them without recognition. Gratitude isn't about finding perfect moments to appreciate. It's about appreciating the perfect presence within imperfect moments. Can you feel that shift happening within you even now? The possibility that this very moment, however ordinary it seems, contains gifts waiting to be discovered. The next morning, Arya set out with her cloth bag and new eyes. At first, everything looked the same as always. The familiar streets, the routine faces, the predictable rhythms of village life. But then she noticed a spider's web stretched between two fence posts, dewdrops hanging from its strands like pearls on invisible thread. The morning light transformed it into something so beautiful it stopped her breath. She touched the bag gently, collecting not the web, but the moment of wonder it created within her. Later, she heard an old woman humming as she swept her doorstep, a melody so full of contentment that it seemed to sweeten the air itself. Another gift for the bag. By evening, Arya's heart felt fuller than it had in years, not because anything in her life had changed, but because she had finally learned to receive what was already being offered. Let's practice this together through a gratitude meditation. Close your eyes gently and bring to mind this moment, exactly as it is. Notice 3 things you can appreciate right now, perhaps the softness of whatever you're resting on, the rhythm of your own breathing, or the simple fact that you're alive to experience this peaceful moment. Don't search for profound or dramatic things to be grateful for. Find the quiet gifts hiding in plain sight. Feel how each recognition of goodness creates a small warmth in your chest, like lighting a candle in a dark room. Notice that gratitude doesn't require anything to be perfect. It only requires presence. Let this feeling of appreciation fill you slowly, like honey poured into a jar. What does it feel like to receive this moment as a gift, rather than taking it for granted? Each evening, Arya would meet the old man under the banyan tree to share the day's discoveries. I saw a child teaching her grandmother to use a smartphone, she told him one night. The grandmother's face was so full of delight at seeing her first video call with her grandson in the city. 3 generations connected through light and love. Another evening, the baker's wife was arranging fresh bread in the window just as the afternoon sun hit the glass. For a moment, every loaf glowed like it was made of gold. I could smell the sweetness and feel the warmth from across the street. The old man would listen to each story with the same reverence others might reserve for sacred texts. "You are learning to see with your heart," he would say. "This is how the divine hides in the ordinary, waiting for those with eyes to see." As weeks passed, Arya's entire experience of life began to transform. The same village, the same routine, the same daily interactions, but now everything sparkled with possibility. She began to notice how the late afternoon light painted golden rectangles on her kitchen wall, how her neighbor's cat had a specific spot where it liked to nap in the morning sun, how the sound of distant temple bells created different echoes depending on which way the wind was blowing. Her cloth bag became heavy not with objects but with memories, with moments of connection between her awareness and the world's endless creativity. She realized that beauty hadn't been absent from her life. She had simply forgotten how to receive it. The old man taught Arya about different types of gratitude. There is gratitude for what pleases us, he explained, arranging smooth stones in a pattern. This is easy and natural. He added some rough, broken pieces. Then there is gratitude for what challenges us, for what teaches us strength and resilience. Finally, he placed a simple leaf in the center. But the deepest gratitude is for existence itself, for the mysterious gift of being conscious, of being able to experience anything at all. This third type of gratitude opened something profound in Arya's understanding. She began to feel thankful not just for good moments, but for her capacity to have moments at all, the miracle of awareness itself. One evening, after months of this practice, Arya realized something extraordinary had happened. The emptiness that had plagued her for so long had vanished, not because her circumstances had changed, but because her relationship to her circumstances had transformed completely. She was living the same life, but it felt like an entirely different existence. Where she once saw routine, she now saw rhythm. Where she once experienced boredom, she now found curiosity. Where she once felt lack, she now discovered abundance. Gratitude, the old man told her, is not just an attitude, it's a way of seeing that reveals what was always there. Let's deepen this practice together now. Think of your journey through tonight's teachings, each story you've heard, each moment of recognition, each small shift in your understanding. Can you find gratitude for this time you've given yourself? For your willingness to listen, to learn, to open your heart to ancient wisdom. Feel appreciation for your own seeking, for whatever brought you here to this moment of peace. Notice how gratitude for your spiritual journey creates a warm expansion in your chest. Now extend that feeling to include the teachers whose words reached you tonight. Kael with his pebble, Lila with her basket, Soren with his single brushstroke. Feel thankful for the wisdom they represent, for the human capacity to learn and grow and find peace. Let this gratitude ripple outward to include everyone who might benefit from these teachings, all beings everywhere seeking freedom from suffering. Arya's transformation didn't stop with her own experience. Her new way of seeing began to affect everyone around her. When she complimented the baker on the golden glow of his bread, he started arranging his display more artfully. When she pointed out the beauty of her neighbor's garden to a passing stranger, it sparked a conversation that led to a new friendship. When she thanked the sweeper for keeping the streets clean, acknowledging the care he put into his work, his whole posture changed with pride and recognition. Gratitude, she discovered, was contagious, not because she preached it, but because she lived it so fully that others couldn't help but catch glimpses of the world through her appreciative eyes. the old man shared one final teaching with Arya about the relationship between gratitude and presence. Gratitude, he said, is impossible in the past or future. You cannot be thankful for yesterday's sunrise while it's happening today, nor can you appreciate tomorrow's rain before it falls. He picked up a single grain of rice from his evening meal. But this grain, received with full attention in this moment, can fill you with more gratitude than 100 feasts eaten while thinking of other things. This teaching helped Arya understand why her practice of daily gift collecting had been so transformative. It wasn't just about finding good things to appreciate. It was about training her mind to be fully present, because presence is the only place where gratitude can truly bloom. Now, as our own journey together draws toward its gentle close, let's practice Arya's teaching one more time. Scan through the hours you've spent here tonight, collecting the moments that touched you most deeply. Perhaps it was the image of stones being released into flowing water, or the feeling of holding your breath like a pebble, or the recognition that you are the sky through which thoughts pass. Maybe it was learning about the monk who painted single brushstrokes, or discovering the freedom that comes from forgiving the past. Gather these gifts in your heart's cloth bag, not to possess them, but to honor them. Feel how rich you are in wisdom received, in moments of understanding, in glimpses of your own deeper nature. Let gratitude fill you like moonlight filling a clear night sky. If it feels right, take a moment to share your appreciation in the comments. What gift from tonight's journey will you carry forward? What teaching touched you most deeply? Your sharing becomes part of the gift for others who will discover these teachings. Like Arya's appreciation for the baker's bread inspiring others to notice beauty, your words of gratitude create ripples of recognition and encouragement. You are part of an ancient lineage of seekers who have found peace and shared it forward, each one lighting a candle to help others find their way. The Buddha's wisdom about gratitude reminds us that appreciation transforms ordinary moments into sacred encounters. Tonight, you have encountered your own Buddha nature, the part of you that can witness thoughts without being consumed by them, that can release pain without denial, that can rest in presence without effort. This nature was always there, like the moon behind clouds, waiting for you to remember it. Your gratitude now is not just for teachings received, but for capacities recognized, for wisdom remembered, for peace reclaimed. As Arya learned to collect daily gifts, you too have learned to recognize the gifts hidden within ordinary consciousness, the gift of breath that needs no improvement, the gift of awareness that requires no effort, the gift of this moment that asks nothing but your presence. These gifts don't disappear when our time together ends. They travel with you like seeds of peace, ready to sprout into moments of recognition whenever you remember to receive what life is constantly offering. Take with you Arya's secret, that gratitude is not about finding perfect things to appreciate, but about appreciating the perfect presence within imperfect moments. Every ordinary day contains extraordinary opportunities for wonder if you bring Arya's eyes, fresh, curious, receptive. Every routine interaction holds potential for connection if you bring her heart, open, grateful, present. This is how enlightenment hides in plain sight, how the sacred disguises itself as the mundane, how peace reveals itself to those who learn to truly see. Rest now in the fullness of gratitude, feeling how it makes this moment complete exactly as it is. You need nothing more than what you have right here, this breath, this awareness, this capacity to receive life as it unfolds. Like Arya under the banyan tree, counting her daily gifts, you have learned that abundance is not about having more, but about noticing more, appreciating more, receiving more of what is already here. The Moonlight Temple has been your shelter tonight, but the real temple is the grateful heart you carry with you always. This heart knows how to find the sacred in the ordinary, the perfect in the imperfect, the eternal in the temporary. From this place of deep appreciation, let yourself drift toward the most peaceful rest, knowing that you have received exactly what you needed tonight. The teachings live in you now, not as concepts to remember, but as wisdom to embody. Tomorrow, you will walk through your world with new eyes, collecting moments like precious gems, seeing through the veil of habit to the wonder that was always there. Tonight, rest in the knowledge that you are part of something beautiful, the endless human capacity to learn, to grow, to find peace, and to share that peace with others. This is your gift to the world, not perfection, but presence, not answers, but openness, not achievement, but appreciation. And so we come to the end of this sacred journey together, though what you've discovered tonight has no ending. The peace you've touched will travel with you like a gentle companion, whispering reminders of your true nature in quiet moments. You have walked through ancient wisdom and found it alive within you. This is the greatest discovery, that everything you sought was already home in your heart. Feel yourself settling now into the deepest rest, like a leaf finally finding its place on still water. Your breath moves with the rhythm of eternity itself, unhurried, unforced, perfectly at peace. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to understand. This moment holds everything. The stories you've heard tonight, Kale's pebble, Lila's basket, Soren's brushstroke, Tira's river, Luna's effortless light, Arya's daily gifts, they live in you now as possibilities, as doorways back to peace whenever you need them. Each teaching is a key you carry, not in your memory, but in your very being. You have learned the language of your own soul. Let the Moonlight Temple's light surround you one final time, not as a place you visit, but as the luminous awareness you are. Its walls are your open heart, its foundation your unshakable peace. You are both the temple and the one who rests within it. This sanctuary goes with you wherever you go. Your body knows how to rest completely now, every muscle releasing its hold on yesterday's tensions. Your mind has learned to be still without effort, thoughts arising and passing like gentle waves on a peaceful shore. Your spirit remembers its true nature, vast, free, eternally at rest. All is well in your world. If thoughts of tomorrow try to stir, meet them with the smile of someone who knows that peace is not dependent on circumstances. If echoes of the past whisper for attention, greet them with the compassion of one who has learned to let the river carry what was never yours to hold. You are no longer at war with your own mind. Sleep comes naturally now, not as an escape, but as a return to the source of all peace. In sleep, in dreams, in the space between sleeping and waking, you rest in the same awareness that held you tonight. There is no place that peace cannot reach you. You are always home. The ancient ones who first spoke these truths smile with recognition as they see their wisdom flowering in you. You have joined the timeless lineage of those who chose peace over struggle, presence over pursuit, being over becoming. Their blessing travels with you like moonlight, gentle and eternal. When you wake tomorrow, you may remember these teachings clearly, or they may live in you as a feeling, a quality of ease you carry. Both are perfect. Wisdom works in its own mysterious ways, transforming you from the inside out. Trust its process completely. Your breath becomes lighter now, like the whisper of wind through bamboo. Your heartbeat settles into the rhythm of deep contentment. Every cell in your body remembers its original instructions to be at peace. You are returning to your natural state. The Moon Mind Temple's doors remain always open for you, not as a distant place, but as this very awareness that needs no building, no maintenance, no improvement. Whenever you pause to breathe consciously, whenever you choose presence over distraction, whenever you let go instead of holding tight, you are home. From this place of infinite rest, let yourself drift wherever peace wants to take you. Whether into the deepest sleep or the quietest wakefulness, you are held by love itself. The same love that moves the stars and grows the flowers tends to your soul with perfect care. Thank you for allowing these ancient teachings to find their way to your heart. Thank you for your willingness to learn, to listen, to open to wisdom older than civilization, yet fresh as this moment's breath. Your presence here tonight has blessed not only you, but all beings everywhere. If it feels right, know that this is not goodbye, but until we meet again, for we meet wherever peace is chosen, wherever love is remembered, wherever someone sits quietly and remembers their true nature. The Moon Mind Temple exists wherever hearts gather in the spirit of genuine seeking. Rest now in the knowledge that you carry everything you need. The pebble of presence, the river of release, the brushstroke of simplicity, the light of effortless being, all these live in you now as your own wisdom. You are complete, whole, perfect exactly as you are. Let the last light of the Moon Mind Temple wrap you in its tender radiance as you drift toward the deepest peace. You have found your way home to yourself. You have remembered who you truly are beneath all the stories. This remembering is the greatest gift you can give yourself and the world. Sleep peacefully, gentle soul. Wake refreshed and renewed. Carry this peace like a quiet flame that no wind can extinguish. The teachings live in you now. You are the teaching. From the Moon Mind Temple to your beautiful heart, from ancient wisdom to your modern life, from this moment to all moments, may you be at peace. May you be free. May you rest in the love that you are. Until we meet again in the sanctuary of stillness, in the temple of the present moment, in the home of your own awakened heart. Sweet dreams, beloved friend. Sweet dreams.